Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may He protect us both. May we both enjoy together. May we both exert together. May our studies become brilliant. May we not become disputatious and hate each other. Om, peace, peace, peace. Welcome back, everybody, for our weekly classes. So, one question which I was asked was why did we stop the twice a week class, right? I don't consider it as a disrespect. In fact, it's a great honor that students are missing both the classes and they are missing these twice a week classes. But the whole idea why we started twice a week in the month of, I think so, May, somewhere around that, right? So that was because the people were afraid of this coronavirus a lot, and there was panic everywhere. So to soothe the nerves, so-called nerves and the stress, we decided to go twice a week so that people are listening to the knowledge and they get some strength out of it. Now, as you see, the world is coming back slowly to its own, right? So everybody started working from their own house or outside. Traveling is started. A lot of things have started slowly picking up. So now, since the nerves are soothed up quite a lot, we have come to once a week class. The other reason is our whole knowledge of Vedanta is based on these three steps, very famous steps. It is called Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. Shravana is where you are listening to the knowledge, to that pristine knowledge, the glorified knowledge. When you are listening and you keep on listening, and the knowledge is so beautiful that, to be honest, even if I take this class every day, still you will be enjoying it. Not for me, it's for everybody else. Anybody who has this knowledge, if they share a little bit, it's very, very enjoyable for the speaker as well as for the listener. But a time should come where you have heard enough. You have heard the subject of Vedanta. You know what Atman is, Brahman is. You know what is the body, mind, and intellect, and how the mind functions, how the intellect functions. You know how can you use the mind and the intellect to get to your original self. So we have heard quite a lot, and those who have not heard, we have enough CDs. I presume around 60 to 70 videos are there in the YouTube where you can listen to all the lectures right from the start. So we have enough material for people to hear and understand what Vedanta is all about. We have covered the first step. All of us know, even before I say something about any subject, you already know what I'm going to say. We have heard enough. Now a time comes for manana. I have heard what I need to hear. Now time comes for contemplation, listening and trying to contemplate that how I have lived my life and how can I make it better, implying and applying this knowledge. So once this tendency comes of I have heard enough, this is Atman. So is it true I am the self? Yes, I am the self. So how do I go about finding I am the self? At present, I know I am the body, mind. So you start contemplating, you start reflecting on the knowledge. Now this is the second step. So when we are doing once a week class every Thursday, that doesn't mean the rest of the time from Friday to Wednesday you have week time off. It's not that. The assumption by the teacher is every day you are studying. Now you have understood what and how important this knowledge. So every day you are studying, you have started contemplating, and a time should come eventually, maybe after certain months, days, years, depending on your evolution, that you would say that I don't need to listen to anybody now. I have understood what this knowledge is and I am living it. Now, when you are living the knowledge, when you have understood you are that supreme being, when you have understood that you are that illimitable self, and you don't think about anything limit, you don't think that the body has its limits, you don't think the mind has its limits, you exactly know how everything functions, where the mind is slipping, where the mind is not slipping, how the intellect should pitch for a higher ideal. Now you have understood everything and you have started applying it in your daily life. You are living it. Once you live it, you become the self. Nididhyasana is, in terms, it's called meditation. Meditation means every time thinking about how you are going to live a life, not a single slip of the mind to get agitated. It's a very high state, but it comes from contemplation. And that contemplation comes only when you have understood the knowledge, whatever you have heard from the masters. So our hearing part is reduced for that purpose only. I'm not completely cutting the classes because we still need to learn. So weekly once we are still having, and whenever, believe me, the situation becomes worse, perhaps if it becomes worse and people get more panic stricken, then if I demand is there, I will start twice again or maybe thrice also. So don't worry about that. It's very flexible. Okay. So last class we did Swadharma, Swadharme Nidhanam Shreya. It is better to perform Swadharma even without merit than Paradharma well performed. Better to die in Swadharma. Paradharma is frightful. So we have explained that. Why it is frightful? Because your vasanas goes on increasing. So you have a Swadharma which you are interested in, but you don't want to do it, or for some compulsion you are not doing it. And you are pushed into Paradharma because of external situations and pressures. When that happens, trouble starts, agitation starts, and it is a life not at all worth living when you go into Paradharma. Therefore, the prime motivation of evolution is find out what is your Swadharma, what should be the field of your activity. Find out. When you want to find out the field of the activity, you don't look outside. Ask yourself, see your own nature, study your own nature, and then find out, and then fix a field of activity, and then jump into that. Once you fix the field of activity, find out which process should be going through so that the job is well done, and continue doing it. There is no way you will ever be a failure when you are in Swadharma. Because whenever you are in love with anything, when you know how to apply that love to the proper object or being, there cannot be any failure of love. Failure comes when I seek the result of my endeavor. But if I don't seek the result of our endeavor at all, it's an open-ended scheme. I just do it because I love it. Khatam ho gayi baat. I dance because I love to dance. I sing because I love to sing. This is the way I am, cheerful. That is the way I am. I can't change myself. Come what may. When this tendency comes, you are getting. So find out your Swadharma. And one more thing important about Swadharma, there is no higher and lower Swadharma. Swadharma is one for everybody. So just because somebody is preaching and teaching Vedanta and looks and attains a state of noblehood in the society doesn't mean that profession is for everybody. You understand? It doesn't mean that. If you start doing that and it is not your Swadharma, it will become a Paradharma. Paradharma, how you will come, you will preach, you will talk, but you will always be result oriented. You will become a Vaishya. You will become a businessman in the garb of a uniform. You will not become a spiritual person. Businessman seeks returns, which is normal for a business. So it's all right, but not for. So just because milk, this Acharya Vinoba Bhave gave this beautiful example of Swadharma. He said, just because milk can be considered to be superior to water, a medium, doesn't mean the fishes will love to swim in that. For each their own. So if you are a business person, do business, it's your Swadharma. Everything. We'll cover this Swadharma because there's a question eventually. When he's talking like this, the Lord Krishna, Arjuna is asking a beautiful question. The subsequent verse, which we have not covered, but I'm telling you. Arjuna is asking, so Lord, I love doing something, but then something else compels me to do something other than that. What is that? I am in love to do a particular thing. I want to do it, but there are forces, so-called, this is the understanding of Arjuna. There are forces seems to be beyond my control. The external pressure, which tells me that you should do something else. Can you tell me what those pressures are? This is the question. What are those pressures? And it's answered beautifully in the subsequent verse. We just chanted that verse, but we'll do it now. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Kam Esha Krodha Esha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Vidyena Miha Vairinam. The blessed Lord said, Arjuna is saying, what is that compels me? Even though I know I want to do something, I am pushed in some other direction. What is that? Arjuna, being a simple man, simple person, focuses only on there has to be something external, right? When I am saying that there is nothing external in the world that can agitate you except your own mind. There are so many people who say, wo sab to theek hai sir, all this is all right, but there has to be something, right? There are so many things where I don't want to do it, but I'm pushed to do it. Circumstances are there, situations are there. I've got to maintain relationships, I've got to pay bills. I've got so many things around me which tells me I'm supposed to do something else, even though I don't like that particular field of activity. There should be something. Otherwise, everybody will do what they love. But there are so many people who are into their field of activities because they have to do it. Not that they love it, but they have to do it. So many people are there who ask me this question. There has to be some external factor. Like Vivekananda says, there are two forces acting in the world. One force is an expression within the self to express itself. An expression within the self to express itself. And the other is the external force which pushes it down and says that it should not be expressed. The frustration, the fight between these two forces is my life. If my internal expression or impression comes out and it supersedes the external pressure, I am happy. If the external pressure supersedes and pushes down this internal happiness, I am sad and agitated. The whole life is these two fights. The ratio between what I am and what I am willing to be for the society is what is my agitation and stress. If what I express supersedes what the society needs to be, you are happy. So he's asking, Arjuna is asking Krishna, why am I pushed into something? And Krishna answers this, Kama esha krodha esha. It is your desire, it is your anger, O Arjuna. Don't look external disturbances and say that person is agitating me, that situation is agitating me, that circumstances is agitating. And therefore, these people, the other person is not in my control, the situation is not in my control, COVID is not in my control. There are so many things which are not in my control, and that is what is agitating me. And here Krishna says, nothing can agitate you. Things can only agitate you because you have a desire. Kama esha, krodha esha. Because of your desire, you are getting agitated. I want this to happen, and that desire agitates you. I am agitated by anger. When I want something in life, when a human being wants something in life and they don't get it due to some reason, some past karma, we blame it and we get angry. We get angry on that instrument, that impediment which has come in between, object or being. We have done this very, very clearly in chapter 2, verse 62 and 63. Dhyayato Vishayan Punsah. We have given the whole diagram there. It is your own desire. It is your own anger, born of the quality of Rajas. Rajasic quality is an extremely passionate quality, full of passion, full of emotion, and it's constantly moving, constantly running around with the hope that I will get happiness. Behind is running behind all the objects and beings with the hope that if I achieve that, I will be happy. And the beauty is, even when we achieve that, still the happiness moves away to some other object and being. So we are happy at that particular instant, and then the mind says, this is okay, but if I get that, I'll be happy. Do you remember when people celebrated year 2000? Year 2000, the new millennium. Wow, everybody enjoyed. New millennium 2020. Again, it will be a celebration. 21, it will keep on going. Things will keep on moving. This is the way. So a person who understands the world is moving constantly and there is no permanence in the world is happy. A Rajasic person will pitch up his happiness on any event or anybody. And the problem is that event comes and that event goes. That person comes in the life, the person goes. Even if the person doesn't go, that person changes. Why did you get married to this person? Oh, this person at that time, sir, his physical body, he had 6 abs. What's it called? Abs, right? Every cut, beautiful body at that. What that physicality, sir. Now, nice, very developed, sir. Whole personality is very developed, especially the mid portion. Madhya Pradesh is developed very nicely. Things change. That person I married because he had very good humor. Now, no humor. Previously, he used to work everywhere in the house. I used to be so happy. Now, he doesn't leave the TV box and the remote control. Every relationship, everything is so conditional. Where is the love? That is Rajas. You buy a quality, you pick up a quality, and you get married to the quality. You don't get married to the person at all. In sickness or in health, no. Health is okay. That's how we have gone. So Rajas is the quality which doesn't see all this. We'll cover that. There are 3 gunas: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Tamas is where you don't bother whether somebody lives or dies. It really doesn't make any sense to you. So you just keep on doing what is need to be done because there is some gain, either material gain or political gain. Some gain is there, so you continue doing the same error and mistake again and again, not bothered about what is happening in the society. This is tamas. Rajas is where you are trying to act something, and because you are put into that action, we are agitated and frustrated. By doing action, we are frustrated. how much more time I should do, how much more duty I should do. This is Rajas. Sattva is you do because it needs to be done. That understanding is very clear. How many people are doing, even if nobody is doing what you're doing? I am doing it because it's the need of the hour. Therefore, since it's the need of the hour, it's being done. And how it's being done? You put your 110%. I know there is no 110% mathematically. I'm just exaggerating a little bit of 10% because you put your all in any activity because it needs to be done. You put all your emotion, you put all your knowledge, you put all your love. This is sattva. So our physical personality is divided into these three: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Rajas is the activity, running around. Whenever you are in activity, you are always agitated. Most, you means I'm talking about most people. You reach a state where you are active and yet not agitated. You seek and look out to have fun. You look out to, you have enthusiasm for every activity. There is never a grievance saying, oh my God, this did not happen. Let's move ahead. Now what? This approach failed. Now what? So you are always looking for, you become a solutions person. But a Rajasic person, Mahashano, all devouring. The anger is so much, the desire is so much that even when the desire is fulfilled, the person is not happy. One person went to a sari shop and he said, Bhaiya ji, what is the cost of this sari? He said, this is 8,000 rupees. Okay. 8,000 is too costly. It's very too costly. Can you give me for 4,000? He said, no, 4,000 impossible. Our purchase itself is 6,000, so it's not possible. So can you please, it's a very important day for me, and I have to give this to my girlfriend or sister or wife or mother, whatever it is. And please give me for 4,000. Half an hour, after half an hour bargaining, the shopkeeper said, chalo yaar, you are the first customer, take for 4,000. He said, you're ready 4,000? It's okay. Can you give for 2,000? So you just asked 4,000, you wasted half an hour. No, 2,000 is right because I don't have that much money. Ultimately, after half an hour, the shopkeeper says, Jao Baba, 2,000 leke jao, take 2,000 and go. Say, can you give for 1,000? The shopkeeper got so angry. He looked at that man and said, do one thing, you take this sari for free. Immediately the man says, can I have two? This is Rajas. You are never satisfied. It will always be more and more. How much money is enough money? How much respect is enough respect? Never. So somebody says, sir, actually there should be, enough money to make us happy. So I always ask that person, okay, define enough money. How much money? If you have 2 lakh rupees at the end of your life, is it all right after retirement? No, sir, 2 lakhs se kya hoga? 10 lakhs? 10 lakhs is because the medical emergency and 40, 50, 1 crore, 10 crores. No, sir, we can't put a figure, because if devaluation happens, something, we can't even put a figure on money. If you are not, there's this beautiful movie called Cool Runnings. And in this Cool Runnings, there is a scene where the coach is teaching these Jamaican players how to go for bobsledge. Bobsledge is a sport. And this coach was debarred from a competition previously because that sledge goes on ice, it goes on ice. And he, to go faster, had put some weights ahead. And he was caught cheating. So when you put the weights ahead of the sledge, it goes gravity, it goes faster. And he was caught, and he already had won the gold medal in the previous race. His gold medal was also snatched. And he's the one now, after years and years, he's coaching this Jamaican team. So one of the heroes of the movie, Dennis, he asks, Coach, I wanted to ask you one thing. You already had a gold medal, right? He says, yes. So when you already had a gold medal, why did you cheat? The coach says, there is, if you learn this one lesson, you learn it. If you are not happy with the gold, if you are not happy without the gold, sorry, if you are not happy without the gold, you will never be happy with it. If you are not happy without the gold, you will never be happy with it. If you are not happy without money, you will never be happy with it. If you are not happy without your own family being around you, you will never be happy with it. Try to be happy without. So this attitude is sattva at that level. Rajas, constantly running around, constantly moving on. All devour, it never is satisfied. It will keep on asking for more and more. And all sinful, it is mahapapma, constantly agitated. Any rajasic person you ask, they'll always be agitated. They'll never be happy with whatever is happening. If this could happen, if this could happen, it will keep on going. It's like a gambler. You win, they say, whenever you gamble, whenever it looks like you are winning, you are still losing. Because whatever you are winning, you'll put it in the gambling again. That's your vasana. Similarly, rajasic people are always agitated. All sinful, mahapapma and mahashano, devouring, vidyena miha vairinam. Know this to be the foyer. This is what is the enemy. The enemy is not outside. Why am I agitated? Because that person told me something. That person did something to me. Circumstances did something to me. Therefore, I am agitated. Don't blame anything in the world for your agitation. There is only one and only one person to be blamed. Me. Me means not the teacher, yourself. Okay? Understand that. So it is desire, it is anger, born of the quality of rajas. All devouring, all sinful. Know this to be the foyer. So the three qualities I told you, sattva, rajas, and tamas. You see a marble piece, a stone, and you look at it and say, ye to marble stone hai, and you walk off. Tamas. You go there with a chisel and hammer and try to make an idol out of it. The idol is not yet made, but you are chipping away. It's hard work, extremely hard work. You may be agitated, you may be angry, whatever it is, because of the time constraint, but you have to make an idol. This is rajas. Sattva is now you have made an idol. The idol can be of a Rama, it can be Krishna, it can be Jesus, it can be Nanak, it can be Buddha, it can be Mahavir, it can be anybody's idol. Doesn't matter. Whatever is that. So when you say the idol is there, a sattvic person says, I have made the idol. But even though he says, I have made the idol and I can see Rama there, there is a thought in the head that it is still marble. It is still a piece of stone. So from a piece of stone, I have carved an idol, sattva. Even sattva is an impediment. And that's what we'll do in the next verse. धूमे नाव्रियते वह्निः यथा दर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम्. How does these three qualities of sattva, rajas, and tamas cover? Do you understand this? Actually, see, these are all theories. Okay, you are considered to be the supreme self, the absolute reality, Brahman. When I don't understand myself as that limitless Brahman, then I misunderstand myself to be a limited personality. So the misunderstanding itself starts, ignorance starts. I don't know I am Brahman. Therefore, I assume myself to be a limited personality. Then the whole process is given of who this limited personality is. Who is this limited personality? Limited personality is made up of vasanas. Then these vasanas are bifurcated into three: sattva, rajas, and tamas. That also makes with the five elements. With the five elements is made the body, mind, and intellect, an individual. And then subsequently, the other grossification of the five elements is the objects of the world. All these objects of the world, body, mind, and intellect, personality, five elements, sattva, rajas, tamas, vasanas, all these things come from one fact of not realizing my original identity. So understand these are all theories to take you towards that. In the Vedanta treatise by Swamiji, Swami Parthasarthi, beautifully is written, Chandra Shakha Nyaya. He says, when you want to see in the daytime the crescent moon, there is no reference point to see the moon. So you take the person, you are in an open field, and you take the person, you say, look far, can you see that tree? And the other person says, yes, I can see the tree. He says, go travel your sight and see that branch right on top. There are two branches forking. Can you see that? Yes, I can see that. You go on the right side of the branch, right to the top. Yes, there are those two leaves right at the top, at the edge fluttering. Yes, yes, I can see those two leaves. Right between the two leaves, let the vision go far. And when the vision goes far, the other person, I can see the moon. The tree, the branch, the leaves has nothing to do with the moon. But without these aids, you'll never be able to see the moon. Similarly, these theories are important to understand, but not to relate with the world. This is just to make yourself understand this is where you are. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Okay. So Sattva, if you are hidden with Sattva, what happens? As fire is covered by smoke, as mirror by dust, as an embryo is covered by the womb, so is this covered by it. This is the supreme self. Covered by it is the dust, sattva, rajas, tamas. So tamas is what? Covered with tamas means no education, no knowledge, taking the world extremely real, completely real, as if this individual is nothing else except this dhacha of body, mind, and intellect. I know my body, I know my mind, I know my intellect. Therefore, I am selfish. Such a person is selfish by nature. Anybody who thinks only of how am I going to live, not bothered about anything else in the world, is tamasic. Completely selfish to the core. Such a person, tamasic person, is not bothered about anything. They don't want to learn. What is there to learn? I know what the world is. I know what the object is. So just because everything is real, I am real and the world is real, let me go ahead and enjoy. Enjoy. Parties, fun, drinking, smoking, disco dancing. I'm not saying not to do. Please don't get me wrong. Krishna dance. There's nothing wrong in dancing. But considering that that alone is life, only enjoying his life, is tamasic by nature. So they don't study, they don't go through any evolutionary process at all. Even if you bring a tamasic person to the lecture, they will nicely be sleeping. Nothing will enter inside. Because they are not tuned to that particular knowledge. They don't want to grow. They think they are already there. This is tamasic. Such a person's growth, he is like an embryo in a womb. The example is given because you can't hurry the embryo to grow into a living being. It takes 9 months to grow properly into a human being and then come out. It can't hurry. Nobody can hurry that by giving capsules and tablets. Similarly, a tamasic person, nobody can hurry them into evolution. When I am saying hurry them, you are not looking at hurrying other people. Huh? That person, my husband needs the knowledge. Don't get into that. If I am tamasic by nature, for me to understand the state of self-realization becomes much more difficult. So what a tamasic person has to do, I have to go through 10,000 other experiences to make me realize that this is not what life is. I don't want to live this kind of life where I'm haggling, quarreling, and stealing and running and thinking all corrupt things into my head. And this is the way people are living. Let the people live what they're living. I don't want to live. So if I say, no, everybody is like this, I am also like this, then you are like this. Tamasic, time to grow. It will take time. Don't worry. Rajasic. So tamas, like an embryo, it is like an embryo hidden by the womb. The Rajasic mentality is dust particles on a mirror. So when you look at the mirror, you don't see your reflection clearly. You see a lot of dust particles. So first thing you do is wipe it. Then you take perhaps some hard surface, maybe a sandpaper or a Scotch Brite or something. With a soap, you wipe it clean. Then you take the wiper, and it takes a little bit more effort. But you'll get a clean image. Thoda effort zaruri hai. Most of us, if not all, belong to this category. We have not reached the highest, but we still get disturbed. We still have a problem. We will reach that state. Only thing is everyday application required. Every day. Be strict with that, right? So Rajasic person applies and he does the hard work and reaches the higher. If you have Sattvic, that means you're already a prepared student. Then as smoke covers the fire, as the smoke is covering fire, so you see the fire, but you're not seeing it because it's covered with smoke. So all you have to do is, or do this, and it covers, and it uncovers, and you see the fire. Similarly, the Sattvic vasanas, it goes very easily. You don't need to worry about that. Once the Sattvic vasanas come, you are propelled at the highest. You are not, so the idea is what? Tamas, the world is only real. I am the only reality and I exist only for that purpose of enjoyment and doing things. Rajas, world is partly real. But there are other things which can make my life better. Other studies, other aspects of life which can make my life better. Therefore, should I stick to the world and its processes, or should I learn something higher in life? I am still in that struggle. And therefore, the agitation, which is good, it's a good agitation. You move to the higher. Sattva, more or less, the world has lost its sting on you. More or less. You know the world is not real because it's changing everywhere, constantly changing. You already have a vision of the higher. How you have the vision of the higher? You see and you have complete faith in divinity. Just as a small child, a baby, when it is born, it gives itself totally, surrenders to the mother. Totally. There is no half reservations there. It gives itself completely up. That kind of trust in that divine principle. If I do good, I will get good. If I am happy while living, I will die happily. Every aspect. This is a law. If I live selfish life, I will always be agitated and stressed, thinking about all my attachments and only my relationships. If I live an unselfish life, I'll be relatively happier than others. If I live a selfless life, where there is no ego, the doership is not there at all, I will always be happy. Sattva is that state. And when you write, and that's what the last, this is covered by it, you know. when I was a child, or everybody, any child for that matter, they look at the parents and say, Mama, the sun is beta so big. It is probably 1 lakh times bigger than the earth. Huh? Yes, it is so bright. That is why we are all living. It gives oxygen. It does this, it does that. Because of the brightness, there are so many things that are happening. Huh, Mama? But you know what, Mama? Your son is also very powerful. Your daughter is also very powerful. Really? How? With my small finger, no, I can cover the sun. And then it does this and says, see, I've covered the sun with my. You can't cover the reality with a small finger. You can't cover the supreme self, which is that omnipotent reality everywhere, with these qualities of sattva, rajas, tamas, and all this nonsense. It's impossible. But when we are in ignorance, we show and say, look, it is covered. This is the way, that is covered by this. This is the way, this, the supreme reality within, is covered by it. The qualities of sattva, rajas, and tamas. Once you understand, I again mention it, not because I have not mentioned it, but it is needed. Sattva, rajas, tamas, vasanas, sanchita, prarabdha, all these jargons of Vedanta is used only to analyze your own self and take you from a position where you are to a position where you want to be, to better it. That is all. Sattva, rajas, tamas is not to be categorized outside. Brahmin, Kshatriya, Shudras, all these are not to be categorized outside. It needs to be categorized within myself, who I am, and grow from there. That's all. It has nothing to do. What we have done is we have taken the whole knowledge and applied it to the world. See how absurd it is. The absurdity of the situation is Vedanta tells you that you treat world itself as a mithya, as an illusion, because it is constantly changing. And we intelligently have taken the same knowledge and applied to the so-called unreal world and create demarcations and differentiations. Wow. That is why man is brainless wonder. We are supposed to, there are been gods, Buddha went along constantly saying, don't go for idol worship. When he said, don't go for idol worship, he means don't get stuck to idols. Find out why are you doing idol worship. Find out the ideal, the higher purpose behind that idol, and then go ahead with it. Nothing wrong with that. Don't get stuck to something. Don't. And he said, don't go for idol worship. Don't go for that. Therefore, he gave all these prayers. Don't go for it. And then his idol is everywhere, in every house. Buddha's idol, either sitting under a tree or somewhere. Imagine what Buddha must be thinking. Imagine what these Maharishis must be thinking, looking, saying that, what am I teaching? What are you listening? I am giving you Bernal so that you can apply on the pain which your hand is burnt, and you're putting that Bernal on your head and saying, this is my Chandan. It's literally like that. Ignorance. Understand sattva, rajas, tamas. It needs to be applied only to you, nobody else. Okay. We'll continue next time. Thank you. Oh.